will run, I will rise, I will grow like the world's never known.
Thanks for sitting down and chatting with me, Carlos. I appreciate you being here. Um, just to get started, do you want to just do like a rundown, like 30 seconds of who you are in your words?
Who I am. I'm Carlos Becerra, a retired art teacher.
All right.
And okay.
And just to let everyone know, Carlos was my art teacher in high school, and also it's taught me photography. Introduced me to Photoshop. I don't know if we did Illustrator. I know we did Photoshop.
It
We might
was it
have,
was we did a little bit of Illustrator, but it wasn't
yeah,
quite didn't have quite have the programs at the school, or I did, or I only had two of them, or something like that.
yeah. I also remember. I don't know if you remember this, but you hired me to help you with for some of the
Dan,
team photos for photography. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did. I helped you with some dance stuff when you were shooting um, photos at a dance. But that was the first time I got paid working with you as an editor, and um, when we were in high school. And so that was like a big deal for me.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember it was at your house. It was at your house. You're like, I gotta go, but here are the photos. Just like crop them, and you just like gave me like
Oh,
a quick tutorial, and then you left. It was the track photos for the team, and it was really
oh,
cool because I had gotten photos, and so when I got them, I was like, oh man, like I got to work on stuff that my peers received, and that was like a big deal for me.
what's that was it wasn't money to make money for myself. It was money to make money for the programs at the school because the school never provided programs for me. So
Yeah,
I would do dances and uh, things like that to provide money enough to buy the programs for the lab, and it was a hassle.
you were always
But
definitely
it was
giving.
yeah, of it because we got to have Photoshop at the school. I just don't remember what Photoshop we had because first they didn't want to give me a full blown Photoshop. They didn't want to put the money up for it. Or the time to load them onto the computers and stuff like that. So I had a hard time at school with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that you were always helping to get resources for people like me to figure out, new things that were happening, and I really appreciate that. I'm curious, uh, uh, w were you always creative? I wanted to kind of go back from when you were young and kind of talk a little bit about, those younger years. Did you always identify as a creative person?
Um, as far as I can remember, I was always curious. I think I can't remember. I, I, I was always into things, trying to do things. So yeah, I did. When I was in my teenage years, I was in photography and video, Super 8 movies and all that kind of stuff. When I was younger, since I came from Honduras, I didn't communicate well, so I used to draw things in the back because we lived in New Orleans first, and I couldn't um, speak English, and so I would just sit in the back and draw quite a bit. That's how I got into it. And I always do calligraphy, try to do calligraphy and letters and stuff like that. That's what I remember back. But in my teenage years, I was always doing videos, not videos, Super 8 movie, film and stuff like that. And I didn't get into photography until my brother got drafted. And when he was drafted, he ended up going to Fort Huachuca in Arizona, and he picked up photography in Arizona and stuff, and he started developing things. And I just was amazed with that. getting in the darkroom and stuff like that. But I never really had the opportunity to get into a doctor until I went to high school. But he was doing photography and stuff. I tried to develop film with water and junk, and it didn't work. I was always curious, that kind of stuff. Curiosity was my thing, and I like working with wood and stuff like that. In junior high they had a shop class, and I was the only one that the teacher trusted me to. I made a whole desk.
Oh
It
wow.
wasn't didn't turn out to be the greatest desk, but it was okay. Uh, so I made a whole desk, and I had it in my bedroom throughout my high school years and stuff like that. So yeah, a desk in junior high was a little too much to do. So I was, but the teacher had trusted me to let me do that. So that was kind of like a neat thing.
Wow. What
It
did you
depends
ever
on,
see? What's that?
depends on teachers, that what the teacher's willing to do with you and stuff like that.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, it is. I'm lucky enough to have had you that
Oh,
pushed
stop it,
me,
Mom.
and it's true. It's true. Like so much of my creativity and who I have discovered I am started when, like I was saying before, when I was in high school, you're the first one outside of my family that was like, you're creative. You could do this for a living. Like you're good. And that stayed with me my whole life. And I've always remembered that. And I've always thought like if there's just like if I could just be that one person that someone needs to be reminded that they're creative or that they're, able to do something. That comes from, my interactions with you. But when you were a kid, I'm curious, when you said you were drawing and stuff in the back of the class, did you see a lot of other people drawing, or like
No,
what got you into the to doodling? Was it
I was not. There was. It was like you ever seen Charlie Brown? Somebody, and then there's somebody talking or something. Wow, 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 wow. That's what it
yeah.
felt like in there because I didn't understand some word. The only way I learned I learned English because for the first time when I was 7 or 8, I got to watch a TV and I learned the commercials. I knew every word in the commercials and that kind of stuff. I picked it up, but I sat in the back of the room, and so they had those dogs back then. They had these terrible reading books. Dog Spot was the name of the dog, and Spot jumped this and all that kind of stuff. So I sat there and drew the dog and drew the people in the book and stuff. Like I didn't. I just saw their pictures and started drawing. And
Wow.
I must have been really good because there's a story. I don't know if I ever told you this story that I was I drew one and I was so proud. I drew Spot laying down on a carpet, and I went to show the teacher, and she acted like I traced it.
Oh wow.
So I was mad that she thought I traced it. So I drew it on the desk. The desk. I got paddled because of that. Because you're not supposed to draw on desks. Now
Yeah,
kids do. I bet.
you got
So
paddled.
I got paddled. Yeah, back then they paddled you.
Wow.
So I had a thing when I first started teaching art that the kids wants to draw on the desk. So I used to put paper on the table. They can draw whatever they want to. I used to do that. But when I first started teaching art, I let them paint their stools. But anyways,
Wow.
that kind of stopped me for a while. But then uh, in fourth grade, I was the one they always looked for to do things. I was the artist of the class. There's always the artist of the class, and that was it.
So is that you were saying your brother got into to photography? Would you say like there was a lot of like creativity at home, or like when you showed your parents, or was
No,
there
no,
encouragement?
my parents were workers. They worked all the time. They did. They didn't quite understand. I felt this is the way I feel that my education was important to them, but they didn't know how to guide me to it. So, like for instance, there was a problem that happened because we moved a lot, and we lived in New Orleans, and then we moved to Southern California. We lived in LA. I went to a private school as a second grader, and I was doing really good because it was a nun school. And they were really tough. But then halfway through there, or three-quarters of the way through there, we moved, and we had to. I went to a private school, and they couldn't like keep affording going to a private school. We went to a regular school that I went to, and they said I was too old to be in third grade, or when I was supposed to be in third grade. They said I was too old to be in third grade, so they put me from second grade to fourth grade. So I missed total third grade, which was
Wow.
not a good for me. Uh, yeah, that's that was bad. And then we moved again, and I went to 12 different schools growing up, so it wasn't a good. My education wasn't good. The only part that my education was good is when I went to high school. Started going to high school. Then there was a photography program, Mr. Skolnick, and he just loved me because I was like devoted. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about anything else. And and I was a bad speller and all that kind of stuff. He tried to help me spelling and all that. Um, but I just didn't really care. But I tried, but I didn't care that much. But the photography part, Mr. Skolnick, we went out and took pictures with a press camera, a 4x5 press camera, back in, and this is in the early '70s. So press cameras were barely around, but he had four of them, and so we
Wow.
used to have. Even the flash was a bulb that you kind of popped out, and we shot football games with it, and then we did pretty good with it because I ended up working for the yearbook, and we'd use some of those pictures in the yearbook.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting that I learned photography quite a bit when I was in high school. This is the only high school that I ended up spending. Um, I ended up finishing, not transferring to another school. I ended up being there for 3 years, Linwood
And
High School.
and would you guys develop the photos too, or would you send those off to?
Well, he had gotten a new darkroom that they had. We had probably the best darkroom I've ever worked on. We had, like 20 enlargers and stuff like that. I had the key to the place. He trusted me with the key to the place. Not any other student. I was trusted. Same thing happened when I was going to college. My professor gave me the key to the place because I devoted so much time to it. I just
Wow.
love being in the darkroom.
So how did you not pursue it after high school?
I did.
Because
Well, I did. I went to LA Trade Tech, and which was I didn't. I did. It was a trade school like OIT used to be, but it was a college, a 2 year college. But I went ahead and went through it, but I only took photography.
oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I thought that you did photography when you went in and were doing your teaching stuff. But you did
No,
photography and then you went back to school.
and then we moved up to Oregon,
Okay.
and I got into business. I was never really end up being a photographer ever. Really worked at it as a moneymaker. Well, I did it on the side. I did weddings and stuff like that on the side, but I never did photography as a career. I got
Yeah.
married, so when you start doing that kind of stuff, you have to. I did one of the things that really was really awesome that happened to me in high school because my teacher really liked me uh, because I was developed. I mean, I was devoted to that. When somebody like you gets into what the teacher's telling you to do, and you get into it, they really like it.
Yeah.
And so he nominated me for a program, and this is really cool. It was Rockwell International, which was building the space shuttle at the time, the first space shuttle. It was in Downey, California, and I worked there. I would go after school, and they would take me in a bus after school, and I spent hours and hours. And then I got to use amazing, like the cameras I have right now, like the Hasselblads and stuff like that, that I just somebody just gave me. I was working with Hasselblads and stuff, and
Oh,
taking
wow.
learning how to do defects of. It was more technical shooting than anything. Learning how to do defects on parts that were testing out on the shuttle, and I would help doing that. I never got really close to the shuttle because it was top secret. They had a mock-up of the shuttle there, but it never got really that close. Just there would be a certain piece that would want me to photograph, and I would photograph with these guys that were really into it. I mean, they were pretty impressive, and they had
Wow.
the equipment, all kinds of stuff there.
And this was your early 20s?
This is what
Late tweens?
my senior year of high school.
Okay. Okay. Wow. That's crazy.
It was at the school, and then they nominated me for a scholarship, but my grades in high school weren't very good, except for photography. I had an A in photography. Everything else was pretty crappy.
So what led you into becoming a teacher then? Why
Oh,
did you choose going into that?
okay. So what happened is we moved up. Gosh, we moved up here to Oregon. Sharon and I got married, and I was working for a pharmaceutical warehouse that delivered pharmacy to the pharmacies and stuff. And then, but then my father-in-law offered me to get into business with him. So I moved up to Oregon because of that with Sharon. And then we just had Chris. And then we started running the business, the RV business. And I ran that for 8 years. And then I couldn't do it. The 80s were horrible. Interest rates were 18 to 21%. It was a horrible time. And I was selling the stuff that people really don't need, RVs. So I went to work for Weyerhaeuser. And then at Weyerhaeuser, I just didn't like it. I was pushing a broom. And then I said, I can do more than this. So what happened is, this is how I started college again. Okay. So what happened, so this is important. So this, what happened is that that I wanted to be the best paying job there was being a millwright. But you have to be really good at certain things, like uh, troubleshooting, which I was pretty good with that. But they want you to be a welder. They want you to weld. So I said, well, they gave me a test and I didn't do very good. So they decided to go, OIT was offering welding that time. But when you go to OIT, it's not welding, just hitting a rod and welding. It was studying metal stuff, and
Oh, wow.
in which I was never good at because I never was good at spelling and stuff like that. So I didn't think I could do it. It was really hard, and I was pushing a broom at night and going to take this one class, a welding class, and then I ended up doing really good in it. I, I I excelled in it, and so I took them and they showed them my grades, and then they said okay, so they hired me as a millwright. And then at nighttime, when I was doing millwright, at first I started working days because that's what to do for apprentice, because I became an apprentice because I didn't have a millwright card. So I became an apprentice, and they started giving you classes at night. So you would take classes at night and then work during the day. And then that's how uh, I started going to school again. And I realized that I could do this. I can go to school and
Okay.
actually do paperwork and stuff. So that's what I started going to school. And then when I was going to school, the credits that I got at LA Trade Tech would only apply a certain amount to a certain program. And it was the art program. It wasn't like I was saying, oh, I'm going to be an artist and all that kind of stuff. So what I wasn't going to do is I wanted to get, because we were desperate. We were having a family growing, and we were pretty broke, and we had 3 kids, and we needed to get the school stuff done so we can go to work. So Sharon was just went back to school too. So at the same time, she was 1 year ahead of me. And then she became an elementary teacher. That's how we could get a job, becoming an elementary teacher. Um, and so I thought I was going to be an elementary teacher. But then I got into the art program, because of that, because of the credits that they have for LA Trade Tech transferring to the art program. And that's how I got a degree in art. And then from that, you apply for the ed program. And I got into the ed program and I became an art teacher. And I was the first one hired, which was really rare for them. An art teacher getting hired, the first one, was the first one to get hired, but that was the first one to get hired in a rough place, which, as you know, is Chiloquin.
Yeah.
But it was because I speak Spanish, so they thought that I could teach Spanish and art. And those are hard to get teachers that they could do that. And I did that. Did that for a year. I taught Spanish and I taught art.
Wow. I didn't know that, actually.
Oh,
I didn't know that you taught Spanish too, and that's how you were able to get that job. That's really cool.
yeah. I was pretty fortunate. I liked it there, actually. I liked it. It had a little bit of culture in it, and I liked that.
Um, I'm 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 curious as to like some of the things that I'm identifying with is the curiosity, taking risks. You know, you wanted to get the welding thing because I'm thinking like that going back and taking that class and doing really good in welding allowed you to have confidence to go to be like I could do this, like just being able to get that thing, like you
Was it
had
because
something you wanted to do.
wasn't because the welding, because I knew that I could weld before that, but I didn't know how good I could. That's why I did it.
Yeah,
But the part it was that I didn't realize that I could do is the reading and the writing and the testing that they give you, written tests and stuff. I didn't know I could do that. So
so
that was
how did you find the courage to, that's what I'm talking about, is like that took a lot of courage to go back to like try it. Let's even just try, like how what kind of led you to that? How did you make that decision?
we were pretty bad off.
So it was like
And
that there was seemed like the only way forward.
yeah, what else could I do? I needed to do something. I mean, I could, I could. The mill was, well, the mill seemed like the right thing to do. That was everybody worked at that mill. You know,
Yeah.
that was the thing. That was
My dad worked at that mill too.
yeah, that's right. I I tried to go back to California, but and try to get a job for UPS, but I didn't get it because my brother was working for UPS. He was doing really
Yeah, I
good.
remember that.
But Sharon didn't want to go to LA, back to LA. And I can understand. I didn't really want to either, but I had to do it. I had to try something because we were pretty bad off financially. We were living day by day, and and then we have this certain traditions. We didn't take any welfare. We didn't do any of that. Um, Even through the church, we one time I was when I was going back to school and stuff like that. I had a I wouldn't take church stuff. I just wouldn't do it. And then my branch president called me into the kitchen one time, and grocery bags everywhere from the church store. He says, Sister so and so didn't want to take this food. You need to take it because I can't take it back. I said, no, it's so that was kind of like that was the only time I ever took any kind of thing, kind of welfare thing
Wow.
from any. I think I felt if I didn't do this, I didn't, there was nothing else I could do. So that's what happened.
Yeah. When you look back on it, does it, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, now look where,
I know that's what I was gonna say. It's like,
it doesn't matter where I live and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't to me. That's not what's in life is about. But it's sure good right now. Feels good, retired, and I have a pension that comes in every month that's going to come into a die.
Yeah.
That you know, yeah, it was just the right decisions, and a lot of it was not me, Sharon. A lot of it's Sharon. She made the right decisions.
Yeah.
I'm just the creative process kind of doesn't affect your way of thinking sometimes. um, you just want to do stuff, and I don't know. I'm getting off track.
No, I appreciate it. I think it was really good. Um do you remember back in those days when I was in art class? Um
Who was I talking to? Oh, I had Chuck Shannon the other day. He was over the house. I got good friends from work. Okay, I just got good friends. They send me texts. They Chuck. And Bob Chambers, who you don't know, but we went to see Topsy because Topsy they drained Topsy.
oh wow, okay.
I have to send you some pictures. It's
Yeah.
real weird. It's really weird. Anyways, that's in case anybody wants to know. It's the biggest dam removal in the United States or in the world, actually.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they removed 4 dams. Anyways, Topsy is a lake, a reservoir. Um, so I was talking to Chuck, and we were talking about you, and I was telling him, he was just so creative and stuff. Mark would do some things that was blow me away. Like I had this project that they had to assemble because here I'm going to show you something. Somebody, and I can't remember his name. I can't remember the student's name, but he did the project. Did it a little different than you did.
Okay.
So Mark and Alan Miles, I mean Chuck and Alan Miles, two friends of mine. They had a bird game, and Chuck is a biologist, and Alan Miles is just a smart guy. You remember Alan Miles, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's
Did I
pretty.
flip this around?
I don't
Did I
know.
flip it around? Is there a way to flip the thing around? No, I
I
don't
don't
see
know.
it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really
See,
cool.
it's Italio, the game and stuff like that, but it's showing their characters or what they. But see, Shannon, he's a bird guy, and Miles is just a smart guy. He would just know the scientific names of the bird. He would figure out the Latin words of it, and so you remember, what project I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do.
But you went even a step further. Okay, made it 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, did that, or maybe I asked him to do that, but not even close.
Yeah, that was a good project. I remember I don't know if that was one of the ones, but I remember you um uh entered me into an art show, and that it was like blew me away. And I remember talking to people and like, what were you thinking when you created? I was like, I don't know, it's just an assignment. But like it was a really incredible moment for me. And those things like really matter, that someone went out of their way, not just to say I was good, but like you're like, I'm entering it into this art gallery, and I got to go and see people, look at it, and then here I am, like all these years later, finally getting back to that artist I am. And like I
What
said,
what
it's
was it in town?
yeah, it was over by uh that long side of the lake, like over by like Pelican, uh
What
um what's it called?
the assignment that you did for that?
I don't
The
remember. There was
picking your nose, was it?
what's that? I don't I don't think so. I don't remember what was shown. But I just remember being in an art gallery and
Happened? What happened with that? And I'm not bragging myself or anything like that. I don't want to do that. But anyways, what it was is they stopped doing that because nobody else would compete against us because we would win all the prizes.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
But
Yeah, that was a
yeah,
really incredible thing for me personally that you would take the time to give people it's about giving people opportunities to rise. And I think like you said it, you were just one of those teachers that I just really connected with, and you were really committed, and I think you've helped a lot of people.
well, I I saw. Oh, never mind. Never mind.
I have
I just,
I have one last question. Oh wait, go
uh,
ahead. What do you have?
okay, all right.
Well, the last question I wanted to ask that I ask everybody is if you could go into a room and it's you sitting with your younger self, with 18-year-old you, and you get to talk to them, what's something that you would share with them?
Oh God, there's too much to share. I mean, from becoming a parent to my grandkids, and those are the most important things in my life, which I'm not very good at. I'm really struggling with it right now. Um, I, I, I complain a lot and I whine a lot, but I'm super, super grateful for my life.
Hmm.
Super grateful. There's been, I don't have, there's some regrets. Of course, it's always some regrets that I think that I did that I should change. Stuff. The past is the past. The present is what I feel good about. The things that's been.
What advice would you give your younger self or someone in that situation?
Oh gosh. Oh, there's some things that I wouldn't do that I would change.
I think you'd have to lay the classic on him. You are who you are because you are who you are. You just drop that word of wisdom on younger you and walk out, and he'd just be like, "What? Oh my gosh, I'm brilliant."
You are because you are who you are.
One of my favorites from you.
I wish I could
Uh,
that one. Thank you. Yeah, you got to take the ride and enjoy it. There's of course there's things that you wish but it doesn't matter anymore. They're the past. You got to look forward every day, and every day I try to look forward. I'm trying.
uh.
I've got a new thing that I've been trying for 3 years now, 3 or 4 years, learning how to play a guitar, and I can't even play one song yet.
Hey, I heard you playing when we were there. You're getting better.
Is that all I learned in 3 years? No, no. I have so many things that I want to do, but I got short time to do it because life doesn't get any longer. So I got, and then that's my physical ailments that are happening now. It's preventing me from doing it.
Did
But
you want to did you want to talk about that, or do you want to not? It's totally cool not to. We don't have to
oh,
go into it.
oh, I think it's a big deal. I'm not embarrassed of it. Not that I'm embarrassed. I'm not. Um, I developed Parkinson's and and it's kind of frustrating right now because I'm trying to get myself to. I'm taking medication that prevents me from shaking a little bit, but still, when I go do something really tedious, I can't do it. So it's frustrating and then muscle ache are happening again. So I got to increase my medication, which makes me feel sick.
Hmm.
So it's frustrating. So I just want to enjoy as much as I can, whatever I got left. And I could have 20 years. I don't think so, but I don't know if I want to. But it's okay. It's fine. It's okay. It is what it is. No, I'm really, I was just, which I got a call him today. I don't know if you remember this guy, Jim Derricks. He was a substitute. He coached football a little bit and stuff.
Vaguely, but not. No, it doesn't really. I
He
don't
was
really
kind
know.
of a character, and Chuck and I've been talking to him and stuff. He's in a home and stuff like that. And it's just so depressing and stuff like that. He doesn't have family to visit him and all that kind of stuff. I just hope that, that I have family to visit me or see me a little bit and stuff. So not this home. So that's why it's important to, I don't know, to just enjoy life as much as you can right now. And then don't dwell on the past is the past. You can't change the past, Mark. You only have the present. That's what you got to look forward to.
Yeah, I love that.
Uh, I'll leave you this. Chuck sent me this little thing about this guy here in Greenblade wrote about sometimes things are in abundance. But sometimes like his fruit tree bears so much that he has to have stakes to prop up his fruit. Sometimes a cherry tree will only produce one cherry a year. But that cherry is delicious. So what do you do with it? You slice it, you share it with your partner or whoever you know. But then I was thinking to myself, if I saw a cherry, we had a cherry tree, and we just took it, I would probably eat it and say, "Oops, I should have shared that with Sharon." So I'm not a perfect man. All the time, every day. Okay, and I wish I wouldn't, but I do it, and I try to make it better. I'm going to try to make it better next day. But next time I'll share the sherry with Sharon.
Well,
Dave.
just in closing, I know that I've seen personally over the years so many people come up to you and say the same thing that I've said of just how much you've influenced me and how much better my life is because of you. And I know there's a lot of love from many, many, many people over the 20 years that you were teaching that have been changed because you were there and showed them love and showed them kindness and care. So I appreciate you.